Good evening. If I could please have your attention and welcome to the stage Rabbi Zalman Raskin of Yeshiva Schools, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, this evening's MC.
There was once a king who wished for his son and sole heir to have a very fine education. He sent servants out to post signs all over the kingdom, advertising for a teacher for the prince. The signs indicated that if the king found the teacher fit for such a weighty job, he would allow him to choose his own salary. Many people came from all over the kingdom to apply for the job. After testing all the applicants on the depth of their knowledge, the king narrowed down to 3 wise men. He then asked each of the men how much they wished for salary. The first man said that he wished to get paid 10,000 gold pieces a month because he was the smartest man in the land and could give the prince knowledge no one else had. The second wise man wanted 20,000 gold pieces because he was the best teacher in all the land. He proclaimed that he could get anyone to learn anything. He spoke how he could discipline a child to do absolutely anything he wanted. He was not even afraid of the prince. The third man, he only asked for room and for board and enough money to support his family. He said that he knew that he was of average intelligence. He was an okay teacher, but he would be the best teacher for the job, and because it would be an honor to serve the king, the prince, and the people of the land. He said he wished to teach the prince about character building, about the fear of heaven, about what it means to care for one another. Of course, the king chose the third man. And this is why teachers are paid such a low salary. All right, all jokes aside, the parable really reminds us of what it means to be a teacher. To some people, teaching is just a job and a paycheck. To others, it represents a place to exert power, a lofty platform from which to realize that he or she is in the classroom to help students achieve their full potential. But the finest teacher is one that realizes that he or she has an awesome responsibility. And when I say awesome, I don't mean, wow, that's an awesome picture on the wall. I mean it's an awesome, large, weighty, and privileged responsibility to teach the princes of the King, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, our children, our next generation, who will be the ones to lead the next generation. What it means to have Ahavas Hashem and Yiras Hashem. And how to have a sense of community and how to build community, whether it's a small community in a classroom among friends and peers, or whether it's a community at large. My name is Zalman Raskin. I'm a first and fourth teacher at Yeshiva Schools of Pittsburgh. I wish to welcome you all here to the Chinuch Conference the Menachem Education Foundation has provided and made available for every single one of us. I wish to thank you all for partaking in this very important event, connecting to the Rebbe through the shlichus of Chinuch. I wish at this point to call up Rabbi Hirsch Leib Begun. In Tufshin Yutes, he founded the Lubavitch Gani schools in São Paulo, Brazil. Please arise for the Tehillim.
אהבתי כאיש מדינוי אסכוילי תחנונוי כי היתו יוזנוי ליו ויומי יקרו אפופוני חב למובס ומצורי שיועל מצאוני צורם ויוגן אמצו ושם מדינוי יקרו און מדינוי מלטו נפשי חנון מדינוי וצדיק ולהן ומרחם שמר פסויים אדינוי Taloisi veli hoishia Shofinashi limnochoichi ki adinoi goma naloichi Ki chilas donafshi mimoves Es eini mindimo Es ragli midechi Es halich lifnei adinoi Bertsois achayim hemanti ki adaber Ani onisi miyoid אני אמרתי בחופשי כל הודום כוזב מושב לדינוי כל תגמולוי אלוהי כויסי שויססו ושם הדינוי יקרו לדורי לדינוי השלם נגדונו לכל עמוי יוקר בעיני הדינוי עמוב סולח חסידוב אונו הדינוי כי אני עבדך אני עבדך בן עמוסך פיתחתו למויסרוי לכו אסבר זבח תוידו ושם אדינוי יקרו נדורי לאדינוי השלם נגדונו לכל עמוי בחצרויס בייס אדינוי בסכך ירושלים הללויה הללויה אדינוי כל גויים שבחוהו כל האומים כי גבר עלינו חסדוי וימס אדינוי ליועלום הללויה. Two words. Ich will begrüßen die Kindesmechanische Chabad. Ich will sagen nur ein paar Wörter zusammen mit den anderen Drosches, aber wir werden das zu teilen in zweien, aber ich gerät als Sach. Leolam Yilmad Adam Belashon Kotzer. Ein kurzes Wort. Yalelucha Zor soll der Mishabeach sein, Fremde. Aber im ersten Fall ist leider verloi nicht die Älteren und am Molechet der Menael vergesst zu sagen a divre schwach zu dem Melamed. Über dem ist ja Lucha so, wenn das ist tut nicht geschehen, ich lechol apoches Picho, dass man sich allein nehmen Koyach und Optimismo, כדי so ממשו sein, die Avoides HaKodesh, es nicht auch ein höhere und mehr wichtige Avoide wie der Avoides HaChinuch. Chazak ve'ematz.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Garden. 20 years ago, I was just a little boy of about 11 years old in Melbourne, Australia. And there was an individual who I looked up to, who taught me, who shared what it means to be someone that's in education, as a mechanech. I'd like to call up our next speaker, Rabbi Velvel Lipsker, the Mashpia in Coleman, Sifta, Miami, Florida. Rabbi Velvel Lipsker to deliver our Dvar Torah.
Zalmi, I'd like to first begin B'Rishus. There are many of my own teachers. I'm an alim over here. I've been bringing my children for the last 2 days to camp over here. Walking through the hallways of Alatera, I have very, very warm memories. And I want to thank the yeshivas and the malamdim, the mechanchim that brought me here, up to the Meiser that I work in right now, Lubavitch Education Center in Florida. And it's a big schus for me to be able to share Dvar Torah. I'd like to begin with a tefillah, v'hinayim Adonai Eloheinu aleinu, u'mas yadeinu ken aleinu, u'mas yadeinu ken aneu, that the next few days of our keynotes together should be successful and should bring a kiddush Shem shamayim, a nachas ruach to our Rebbe. I'd like to ask that while I'm speaking, if you could please keep your fidget spinners to yourself, please no bottle flipping or anything else, at least while I'm talking. You know, they say that the main 2 reasons to teach are the months of Tammuz and Av, but we're sitting over here after the school year finished, for most schools, and sitting together to get chizuk, to learn from each other, to be makad of each other. As the Rebbe always called the pasuk, Ishas re'yo ya'azeru alachiv yom chazak. Today is Gimel Tammuz, and in the letter that the Rebbe gave out for the proper hanhagis for Yud Shvat, one of the things that Rebbe mentions is that during the day to talk about the Pa'ulis of the Rebbe. In a Sicha, Parshas Bahar B'Chukaisa Tafshin Yud, which was later Muga, it's on the back of Chelik Yud Zayin, the Rebbe tells a story that there was a Yid from California who was in the wood business, and he came to ask Eitzah in his business from the Frierdiker Rebbe. And the Frierdiker Rebbe advised him in his business, and when he was done, the Frierdiker Rebbe asked him on what's happening with the education of your children, what's happening with the matzav of Chinuch in California, and he kind of avoided the question. And so the Frierdiker Rebbe told him, and he used the word in English, my business and the business of my fathers and the business of my Zaydas for generations is Chinuch. And if you ask me for advice on things that are not my business, I know nothing about the wood business, and you're willing to listen to me, then surely you should be willing to listen to me in things that are my business. 5 days ago, we celebrated Chav Ches Sivan, which is the day that the Rebbe came to America. And the very first Moised that the Rebbe established when he came to America, what is the Pa'ulis that the Rebbe was Isaac in Kol Yemei Chayav? The Rebbe started the Merkaz Li'inyanei Chinuch. And if you look in the Skira Ktsara, which is also printed in the back of Ayom Yom, it says that the Matorah, the goal of the Merkaz Li'inyanei Chinuch, is Lidoig L'Chinuch B'nei U'B'nois Yisrael B'ruach Yisrael Saba, to provide education for all Jewish men and women, boys and girls, in the spirit of Yiddishkeit. I feel that it is a bit superfluous when talking to a kinos of machanchim of people who literally dedicate their lives, benefesh, belev, ubema'oid, to chinuch, to talk about the importance and the chshivus that chinuch plays in Yiddishkeit b'chlal. The truth is that we need to give teachers a lot of credit, and if they get paid a little more, maybe they wouldn't need so much credit. But when Yaakov Avinu and Moshe Rabbeinu benched the Shvatim, they made sure to set aside that at least 3 of the Shvatim, Shevet Shimon, Shevet Levi, and Shevet Yisachar, would be mechanchim, would be teachers. And the reason for this, there is a medrash in the beginning of Eicha Rabbah, in the Psicha, that the Rebbe quotes in a Sicha, that says that Rebbe, which is referring to Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya, who was the grandson of Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, have Meshalech le Rabbi Asi le Rabbi Ami, the Yifkun v'Yiskimun Karisa da'aris et Yisrael. That Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya sent out Rabbi Ami and Rabbi Asi to reestablish, this was years after the Churban, and to reestablish the cities in Eretz Yisrael and to make them rise and flourish and thrive again. And they came to cities and they said, Aisulon neture karta, bring us the guardians of your city. And so they brought them the people who were in charge of security of the city and of the fields around them. So they said then, Ile neture karta, Ile charuve karta. They said, these are the guardians of your city? These people accomplish nothing. So the people asked them, who are the neture karta, who are the true guardians of the city? So they told them, bring us your teachers. Bring us those that keep the Torah by day and by night. There's a very, very famous medrash in Shir HaShirim that the Rebbe quoted over and over and over again in connection to Shavuos, and that is that when the Eibishter wanted to give the Torah to the Yidden, the Eibishter said, I'm going to give you the Torah. This is a great gift, but I need guarantors. And so first the Yidden brought the Aves, and the Eibishter said, Yeshli Alein, I have some issues with them. And then the Yidden said, we'll give you our Nevi'im, and the Eibishter said, Yeshli Alein, until the Yidden said, Banenu Ervim Eisanu, or as the Rebbe quoted a different girsa, Banenu Arevim Ba'adenu, that our children are our guarantors. When the Eibishter told the Yidden, how do I know that Yiddishkeit will remain? I'm giving you the Torah 3,500 years ago around a mountain in the desert. How do I know that Yiddishkeit is going to stand? So the Yidden said, well, what do you mean? We have the Avis HaKadoshim. We have Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. They were dedicated, as the Alter Rebbe writes, every single movement that they did, every limb was dedicated to the Eibishter. And the Eibishter said, that's very nice. That doesn't guarantee the Torah. So they said, we have the Nevi'im. We'll have a dedicated group of people who will be completely bottled to the Eibishter, that they'll do the Eibishter's Ratzin. And the Eibishter said that does not guarantee that Yiddishkeit will remain. And then they said, Banenu Ervim Eisanu, and according to one pshat, it means that we guarantee you that we will pass the Torah on to our children, that we will teach the Torah to the next generation. And the Eibishter said, if so, I'm going to give you the Torah. And it's really that simple. That we have the glorious gift, we say every day, Shabachar Banu Mikol Amim, V'nasa Lanu Es Terasai. And there is a group of people that make sure that this gift gets transferred to the next generation. When the Eibishter gave the Torah, the Eibishter gave it like a teacher, like a first grade teacher, and he started with Kametz Aleph O, Anochi Hashem Alekecha. And then he made sure that there would be a guarantee. And we repeat this every single day when we say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, which paraphrases the first of the Aseres HaDibros. And then we say V'shinantam Levanecha, that we will continue to teach this to our children and to our Talmidim. In the harshest days under communist Russia, when teaching Torah to little children was the highest crime, the Frierdiker Rebbe once spoke at a Fabrengen to Rabbi Itche Masmid. And he looked at him, Rabbi Itche Masmid, who got his name because he was a tremendous Masmid. He sat and learned Torah. Even before he came to Chassidus, he was known as a Goyen Adir, a very, very special man. He's a person on whom the Frierdiker Rebbe wrote in a letter to Rabbi Yisrael Jacobson that Mekenem Nutzen auf Brachas, that when he came to visit America, tell people to ask him for brachas. He was a very, very, very great person. The Frierdiker Rebbe turned to him by Fabrengen and he said, Itche, du tust in Tashbar, bist du meiner. Und nicht bist du Itche. if you will concern yourself with teaching Aleph Beis to little children, to Tineka Shel Beis Rabban, then you're mine. Then you're doing my work. And if not, you're a nice guy. Maybe they'll write books about you, Rabbi Yitzchak Horowitz, but you're just going to be Itcha. The Frierdiker Rebbe used to use the expression a lot, Amalamed bar poil, which I think roughly translates in modern English to effective teaching. In today's Chitas, Hashgacha Pratis, is the story of the Mei Meriva, when the Yidden were gathered at the stone that didn't have water, and the Eibusher told Moshe Rabbeinu, V'dibartem al Asela, to talk to the stone. And Moshe Rabbeinu hit the stone. And the Eibusher says, Yana shalei amantim bi, lahagdisheni le'enehem, because you didn't make the Kiddush Hashem. And Moshe Rabbeinu didn't go into Eretz Yisrael because of this. Now, if you look at the story, it's a little strange. First of all, the Yidden needed water. That's what they needed. And Moshe Rabbeinu got the water. He hit the stone and the water came out. So what's the problem? And secondly, witnessing water coming from a stone is quite a big Kiddush Hashem. That's a big miracle. It happened the first time when we sing about it on Simchas Torah, Al Asala Hach Vayetz Mayim, that Moshe hit the rock and water came out. That's not a Kiddush Shem Shamayim. And Rashi tells us that what was the absence of the Kiddush Shem Shamayim? Because Rashi says that if you would have spoken to the stone and the water would have come out, the Yidden would make a Kal V'chomer. And they would say that if a stone who doesn't hear and doesn't see and doesn't need anything listens to what the Eibusher says, how much more so do we need to listen to the Eibusher? And Rashi says that there was a gewaldige lesson over here that could have been taught. And it was missed. And yes, you got the results you wanted, but there was a teachable moment that you lost. And for that, the Eibusher says that it was missing a little bit of the Kiddush Shem Shamayim. There's a beautiful Yalkut Shimoni. What did the Eibusher want Moshe Rabbeinu to tell the rock? And the Yalkut Shimoni says, V'dibartem el asela, Shana Olav Perek Echad V'hu Moitzi Mayim in Asela. Teach him a little bit, and he'll get water out of a stone. Talk to him. On Shabbos was printed my encounter with Rabbi Cousin from London, who came to Lubavitch and would go every Wednesday on Mitzvah Shah, Wednesday afternoon, to the release time, to go with the public school kids and make a bracha with them, say Kriya Shema with them. And his birthday once came out on the Sunday, and he asked the Rebbe if perhaps he should miss the release time because it's a special day. It's time, there's a lot of special things to be done on that day, to learn extra. And the Rebbe looked at him and the Rebbe said, Avada zolst again. Surely you should go to release time. And he shares over there that a friend of his who felt that the release time was a little bit of a waste of time. You go, you give cookies, you make a bracha rishena, bracha achrena. And he asked the Rebbe if he could be exempted from going to release time on a regular basis. And the Rebbe wrote him back in writing that Moshe Rabbeinu himself is jealous of somebody who can get a little child to say Shema Yisrael or to make a bracha. I will conclude with a tefillah. Avinu av harachaman, hamrachim, rachim na aleinu, v'sein b'lebinu bina, lahavin, ulahaskil, l'shmoya, lilmed, ulalamed, lishmer v'lasis, ulakayim es kol divrei salmat erasecha ba'ahava, v'hoyre neinu b'sir asecha, v'dabek libeinu b'mitzvesecha, v'yachid lavavenu la'ahava, l'yira eshmecha, v'lenevesh, v'lenikolim, v'lenikosha le'lamvad, ki v'shem kadshecha hagadol v'hanera b'tachnun, nagila v'nismecha b'shuasecha, v'rachamecha harabim al yazvunu netzach selavoid, Ma'ir v'havi aleinu bracha v'shalom mehera, v'yenu l'shalom me'abekam v'sa'aretz, b'izgalos Mashiach, take it from a yad. I'd like to reintroduce Reb Zalman Schneer, who's the director of the Menachem Foundation, who for many, many, many years, and back in the day when it was just a little operation, I think running out of the Koilel on Union Street, is dedicated years and years and countless hours, and I don't even want to go into the dollars, to build up and develop such an important moisid, Rabbi Zalman Schneer.
Chaim. Chavre Zok L'chaim, don't be shy. Position zwischen Chassidim, Skimel Tammuz. Hoidu L'Hashem ki tov, ki le'olam chasdoi. How lucky I am to be standing here tonight on such a special day with such great friends and great people. Many were a time over the last few months that I did not believe that this would happen, but Baruch Hashem, we are here. B'mei ben Yovan. This keynote would not happen without some very special people. And I would like to begin by thanking our Vad Ruchni, who are very active in our work and guide us. Rabbi Yitzchak Wolf, Rabbi Nelson Garari, Rabbi David Kagan. One of the best things of the work that I do, because what do? All I do is just, I'm a schlepper. I schlep money, I schlep people. But I get to meet a lot of amazing people, and during this convention, I was able to meet a lot of amazing people that I haven't known before. And I'd like to mention Reb Mendel Moskowitz, who took a leading role in the convention from Chicago, and also Rabbi Shlomo Tachtel, which was a big bracha to meet him. Together with the entire convention committee, and on the women's side, Mara Tachtel and Mrs. Naomi Friedman. Together with the staff that I'm lucky to work with every single day, Rabbi Rosenblum and Rabbi Greenbaum, Beresham, together with Rabbi Zelig Silber and Rabbi Levi Feldman. And on the women's side, Mrs. Chana Rose, Ms. Etty Krinsky, and Ms. Rivka Tauber. Yeshakaya, to all of you for really putting this together. Baruch Hashem, I'm lucky to work with people and be involved with people that are way smarter and more talented than myself. Earlier this year, I visited a school, an Achei Tamimim, we spoke about earlier, Rabbi Reichek spoke about earlier that the Frierdiker Rebbe, when he came to America, he started the Achei Tamimim. So everyone wonders, how did these Achei Tamimim begin? How did all of a sudden put schools on the map? And it's interesting because if you're involved in the world of Chinuch and Jewish education, as it's called, you know, people have studies about the future of Jewish education. How will the world of Jewish education look like in 10 years from now? And they have demographic studies, v'chulu v'chulu. So when you go to Achei Tamimim, I was in Achei Tamimim of Long Meadow, Massachusetts. And I met with the director now, Rabbi Noach Kasovsky. And he tells me the following story, how this Achei Tamimim began. There were no studies, there were no focus groups. It was Pashit, a Chassid, Reb Pinchas Weiler. If you actually go to the aisle, the next time you walk further down the path towards Rebbe Simchana, on the left side, the fifth caver is a Chassid, Pinchas Weiler. And if you read his matzeva, there's not much written on his matzeva, but a few words stand out. Asken Choritz, Baal Midish Remamis. He was a very charismatic individual, and he was Oisik Laharbetz Chinuch HaKosher. And I heard from Rabbi Gordon's son, that means Rabbi Shalom Ber Gordon, who was a shliach in Newark, who worked with Pinchas Weiler to begin this Achei Tamimim in Longmeadow. I heard from his son that this is how it happened. He came with Shalom Ber Gordon to Longmeadow, Massachusetts. They pull up one day on a bus, and they go to the kindergarten in the public school. And they start looking for Jewish children, and they notice the Yiddish face. They ask them, "What's your name? Where do you live?" And that night, they knock on the door. Pinchas Weiler is standing in the front, and Shalom Ber Gordon's a little bit behind. And no answer. He keeps knocking. They say they're not home. They say, They knock again. They say, we don't have no money. We don't want your money. They open the door to scream at them to leave. And Pinchas Weiler puts his foot in the door. Every house he went to, the door open. The first thing he did was put his foot in the door. And then once his foot was in the door, he started speaking to them, bringing with them. And in those days, if you wanted to be a somebody in America, this is going back to the 40s. It was before fancy cars. Every fancy home had a piano. And the Pinchas Weiler would jump to the piano and start playing the piano and singing, and he was very charismatic and verbringing. And at the end he said, we're starting a Mesilas Shabbos, we want your son. And from the Mesilas Shabbos became a kita, a class. And I heard from Rabbi Gordon's son that whenever Pinchas Weiler would leave, all the kids would leave the class, and he would have to come back to get more kids. Finally, after a long time, they had 10 children in the class. So Schomburg Gordon from Newark writes a letter to the Frierdiker Rebbe. It says, Baruch Hashem, we have 10 Talmidim learning in this Achei Temimim of Longmeadow, Massachusetts. And the Frierdiker Rebbe writes back a letter, which I only have a few words of this letter. And this is what the Frierdiker Rebbe writes back. Koil with a kuf. Koil meaning the voice. Asara mitzoin kochim. 10. The voice of 10 young sheep, 10 precious Jewish children. Shehichnis l'shulchan haTorah, that he brought towards the table of Torah. Nishba b'morim, is heard in Shamayim. And Rabbi Schomburg Gordon would say, what was he teaching children? He was teaching them Aleph Beis, maybe a Pasuk Chumash, definitely not Mishnayos, definitely not Samach Vav. But to the Frierdiker Rebbe, this is what was Nishba B'morim. This was the most precious thing that was happening in the world at that time, teaching Yiddish to children. And for us, all of us, really at the Menachem Foundation, we are so lucky to be able to serve Mechanchim, Mechanchos, Menalim, and Menalois that really dedicate themselves to teach Yiddish Kinderlach, Psukim, Aleph Beis, Gemara, Rashi, Tosfos. And there's nothing greater than that. And therefore, we, on behalf of all of us, we want to thank you for the amazing work that all of you do each and every single day, because there's nothing more important than the work of teaching our children. About 4.5 years ago, I was lucky enough to meet a very special individual, a giant of a man with a big heart, who takes the Rebbe's words passionately, who dedicates himself to furthering the Rebbe's message through his support in GEM and other causes. Everything Chabad in Chicago, he is there. Everything Jewish education, he is on the forefront. You all know his name from many different projects that he's involved with. Personally, I have had a relationship with Dr. Michael Mailing of the Crane Mailing Foundation, where as Lubavitch, we're empowered with Oires de Tohu. We have a big, grand ideas. And when I speak to Dr. Mailing, he brings me back down to Kalim de Tikkun and makes, how we're going to do this in reality. But when we speak about it, he gives good advice and he helps out and he's always there. And it's very special for me to have, and for all of us really, to have Dr. Michael Mailing as the honorary chairman of the Chabad Chinuch Convention. When I asked Dr. Mailing to be the honorary chairman, he said, why me? And to me it was very simple. Because Jewish education in Chicago, the Cheder in Chicago, the Associated Jewish Day Schools of Chicago, are all affiliated with Dr. Michael Mailing. And for us in Lubavitch, many of our institutions are supported by the Crane Mailing Foundation. So without further ado, it's my honor to present and to ask Dr. Michael Mailing, president of the Crane Mailing Foundation, to come up to the podium, together with Rabbi Levi Nuttik and Rabbi Yitzchok Wolf. I just want to mention we chose this painting because the Crane Mailing Foundation has they have three pillars. They have the pillar of education, medical research and the arts, and Jewish continuity and supporting the strength of Eretz Yisrael. So we chose a painting that portrays the Kaisel because it's 50 years since we conquered Yerushalayim, and it brings together all Jewish people, as you see in the painting, and this is really one of the themes of the Crane Mailing Foundation. So without further ado, Dr. Michael Mailing.
Thank you, Salman. I actually believe that brevity is the soul of wit, so I'll be brief. Incidentally, Shakespeare also thought that. We have the brother of Simon Jacobson here today. I don't know where he is, or even if he's still here, but he was teaching today. His brother, Simon Jacobson, wrote Toward a Meaningful Life, which is a sort of synopsis of some of the main ideas that the Rebbe was trying to inculcate within the Jewish people. One of which, hello, one of which was education. Now, I think that the first step toward enhancing the hierarchy of teachers is to enhance the significance of children, because we tend to pay well that which we respect. Respect for children would produce in the long run, in my opinion, more pay for teachers. And I think that that's important. I really don't have much to add to everything that's been said today, but I would like to make a couple of quotes from the book to which I just referenced by Simon Jacobson. Education is the basis and sustenance of civilization. In order to produce a healthy and wholesome adult, people who will lead selfless and meaningful lives, we must educate our children. That was number one. Number two, education is not just learning the skills to make a living, it is learning to understand life itself. What is life? Life is the recognition of God, mentioned that he had charged us with finding ourselves and sanctifying our world. And I believe that that's what the Rebbe was really trying to do, sanctify our world through our teaching of children. Thank you.
Yeshikayach Dr. Mailing, and you don't have to worry about getting the painting back to Chicago. The boys at Cheder Lubavitch of Chicago will be taking it on their bus, will be packaging it for you, and it'll be delivered to your house. As I mentioned earlier, one of the best parts of the work that I do, besides being able to work with mechanchim, mechanchos all over the country and all over the world, is getting to meet great people like Dr. Michael Mailing. When I started working in Crown Heights, there was one name that kept coming up. Any school that opened that needed help with the renovations of the building, there was an address. Rabbi Yitzchak Popack. I said, this is my guy. This is the guy I need. And it really doesn't matter. New school, old school, small school, big school, boys school, girls school. You will find Rabbi Yitzchak's name associated with that school. There is no better person than to ask Rabbi Yitzchak Popack, Halevi Popack, to accept our Partners in Chinuch Award. Please welcome Rabbi Yitzchak to the podium.
Suppose if I receive a award, I'm obligated to say a few words. Thank you for welcoming me here and joining you tonight to celebrate the Chinuch community. As I look around the room, teachers, educators, and staunch supporters from across the diverse Chabad Chinuch community, I'm honored to have been requested to address you. You did not get enough press or attention. However, you are the movers and shakers of Lubavitch, the ones who every day make a lasting impact and investment in our children. This gathering here is meaningful confirmation of the dynamic world of Chabad Chinuch today. Though I may be accepting the Partner of Chinuch Award, tonight's emphasis is on you. And we honor your commitment and your critical role in empowering our children and the greater community through Chinuch. Today is Gimel Tammuz. I will leave it to others more learned and knowledgeable than myself to speak about the interrelationship between this day and your shlichus, ensuring that Torah and Chassidus are transmitted to our next generation. I will begin by sharing a few thoughts on how important the Rebbe is to me. Like many seated here, if it were not for the Rebbe's extraordinary vision and leadership, I would not be standing here today. My father, Rabbi Shmuel Isaac Popack, of blessed memory, had a special connection to the Rebbe. In the 1950s, he received a unique bracha to get involved in the realm of real estate and find much tzlacha there. While my father did not have some real estate dealings, he never fully invested himself. Years later, in 1968, I received my own personal bracha from the Rebbe to be successful in Gashmish and Ruchnius, As I began looking to pursue my own business ventures, I was inspired by my father's bracha and decided to place my efforts, specifically in real estate. Baruch Hashem, my efforts were met with much success, which I attribute to the open and continued brachas of the Rebbe. Over the years and throughout my business dealings, I have written to the Rebbe and visited the Ohel many times, asking for brachas and guidance in my work, and have seen the open blessings. My material success is attributed to the Rebbe's brachas. However, the Rebbe's influence the Rebbe's influence in my life has also blessed me beruchnius. I still have a way to go in my personal journey and in my role as a chassid. I have come a long way, and every step of the journey was inspired and guided by the Rebbe. It was this that kept me focused and on track. Of the many attributes of our Rebbe, one aspect of the Rebbe's work is obvious tonight. The Rebbe was the ultimate mechanech, not only because of the wealth of Torah and Chassidus the Rebbe taught us, but also the way the Rebbe lived every day, the consummate role model and guide the Rebbe was for his thousands upon thousands of Hasidim and Talmidim. I aspire to one day be considered a Talmud of the Rebbe. But the fact is, we are all Talmidim. From the esteemed Rabbonim here tonight, who have endlessly studied the Rebbe's talks and writings, to the youngest preschool child in your classroom. Every one of us, no matter our level, can connect to the Rebbe as a teacher. Mechanech has a lasting impact on the students starting from a young age. My own experience helped me to realize the importance of chinuch. In my elementary school years, I had a hard time connecting to my studies, and I often turned out in class. Those years were difficult. The turning point in my personal chinuch journey took place in Yeshiva Tamchat Tamimim in Montreal, where I met a rabbi who had a tremendous impact on me. He opened my eyes to the wonders of Torah and inspired me to connect with what I was learning. He helped me discover that I could actually enjoy and make strides in my learning. Shlomo HaMelech wrote in Mishlei, Chanech lanar al pi dakei, tailor chinuch to each child's unique qualities. It also means that in addition to teaching children skills and knowledge, it is crucial to give them a path to imbue their lives with purpose. It was only after I found that purpose in my studies that I felt a meaningful connection. Thank you to all my mechanchim who helped influence my life, together with all the educators here, for the lasting impact you have on your students. This is the role you have taken on by choosing to pursue the path of chinuch. You are tasked with the sacred responsibility and the zchus to see that our children find fulfillment as a Chabad chassid and in their Torah learning. This is no easy task. The future of Yiddishkeit is entrusted in you. You are building the next generation that will follow in the path of our Rebbe. You are creating future leaders. By being here tonight, you are proclaiming your dedication to your role as an educator, and I, together with my fellow supporters, salute you. We thank you for creating a chinuch that is more vibrant than ever. We thank you for your hard work every day in the classroom and for the countless hours you spend of your personal time on behalf of your students. We thank you for igniting a love of Yiddishkeit in your students and for being concerned and for caring for their individual needs. Knowing that we all stand together every day, every step of this journey, That was supposed to be the end of my thought. Know that we all stand together every day in this journey. President Donald Trump spoke last week in Iowa. One line he said struck me and is a lesson for all of us. He said, and I quote, "History is written by the dreamers, not by the doubters." Each of you here tonight who has committed his or her life to Chinuch is a dreamer. You dream for the future of your Talmidim. You dream for the future of your children. You dream for the future of Yiddishkeit. And you dream to fulfill the Rebbe's dream to bring Mashiach now. And now, let us build on the power and energy in this room and to continue to make from this dream into a reality. We have a strong future, and creating a positive learning experience is the way to get there. I know that with you at the forefront, our schools will be more successful than ever. I believe each one of us here tonight is doing our utmost towards this goal. We are turning the dream into a reality. The most phenomenal Chabad Chinuch, making the Rebbe proud on this Gimel Tammuz and beyond. Thank you for this honor.
Please turn your attention to the video screens.
Wenn miteinander zu euch ist. Hat sich zu tun mit dem Mashiach. Und ich wüsste, wie Mashiach halt ja, die Gemüse, jetzt hat es mir schon Islam. Man kann mit Mashiach, da steht nicht, was man sieht da. Ich wüsste, Amen.
הייתי ביחידס, אז היה לי 2 ילדים, וכתבתי פתק לרבי, אז כתבתי קודם כל ברכה על ילדי בית ספר למלוכה, ואחר כך הזכרתי את הילדים שלי, והגשתי את הפתק לרבי. אז בתחילת היחידס הרבי ככה אומר, מתחיל ככה, Also wie du weißt, wie zu schreiben und beten für eigene Kinder. Also für ילדי בית ספר למלוכה ושכאילו ילודי ממש. זאת אומרת שהרבי הדגיש, אמנם כתבתי קודם את הבית ספר ואחר כך את הילדים, אבל הרבי הדגיש שבפנימיוס העניונים עבור זו קצת חרויסת. עדיין אמס זה כשאתה גם עם הילדים שלך וגם עם הבית ספר וגם השליחה שלך. טוב, צריך שיהיה הכל כאילו ילודי בלב ונפש ומועד, הכל בכל מכל. זה הנקודה העיקרית.
I have an older brother, successful businessman, and he wanted to invest in real estate, and he asked me if I want to be a partner with him. I wrote to the Rebbe asking whether he thought I should go into this business, because it would have been, you know, parnosim and outside, like, you know, a little bit of a livelihood on the side, which, you know, thank God I had a large family then, and it would have helped. But the Rebbe wrote back and said, Chaval sheyaschil lotzes me'avodas hakadosh shel kvei kedushas muchadmur lechoil. It is a pity that you should begin to go out of the holy work of my father-in-law to choil, to mundane. My brother, I'm very sorry, I can't go into that business. Then Baruch Hashem, so I stayed on full-time in Chinuch, and you know, no regrets.
We asked about going to Shlichus. The Rebbe told us we should base it in Avidas HaChinuch. He called it Hoiroa, Hadrocha, Hashpoe. Hoiroa means to teach, to teach the material, to teach how to learn the material. Hadracha means to guide, to give directions to the Talmidim. How could you bring the poel what they learned? But this itself is also not enough, because sometimes a Talmid knows the stuff and he knows how to overcome, but he's not doing it. So you need hashpah. Hashpah means to influence. Now he knows how to overcome, but you have to make him to want to do it and to live in such a way. The Rebbe also told us in Yechidus, ihr sollt megare sein, die Kinder, le Teuro, l'chupal, meisim teivim, die eigene Kinder und die Talmidim, levonecho elu Talmidim.
Als hat Spur viel Ton mit Chinuch und befragt noch mit Chinuch von Jugend, was jeder von sie sich bekorre, aufbauen a Beis, a Family lernen und der Spur sein auf a jungen Menschen, werde noch gleich nicht palpik Kammer, vergrößert mehrere Mal, durch wie man etwas bedugma, als kommt zu in a frischen Beim. Is auch dermal beschaut der Beim wachst du für der zugekommene Brat, als a Chanechle nach an der Nar Alpi, darche, wenn noch gewähnt jung, hat nenem a Spiel gewähnt noch a bissl, ist Gamki Jaskin, als wird älter und buit auf a Familie mit a Beis, i das Niker, und Niker in a Sache größere Moses, was sich früher ist gewesen, in allein und in der ganzen Huis und in der Kinder von seinen Kindern. Und wie sie wollen dann noch mechanisch sein, Bnei Bonim und Bnei Bonim, wurde von ihnen verstandig, als jede Anstrengung, was man darf machen, beschaß sich wegen Chinuch, tormen sich damit nicht rechnen mit den Anstrengungen, wollen die Anstrengungen, das von dem Mechanisch, die Tieles davon kommt reis, von dem Mechunach, von dem, wenn man erzieht und lernt, und durch ihn kommt das zu seinen Bnei Bayis und zu dem ganzen Arum, und zu der noch Peres und Peres, Deres, Lachre, Deres, über mehr Nechschav, was für Achschivus, hat das, was der Mechanisch strengt sich an, als Jochid, beschaut die Tieles davon kommt reis, vermehrere und es kommt reis nicht nur bis Manne, in sein Zeit, was Mechanisch, das wird ab Jula Nimschaches, das wird Nimschach zu Bonim und Bnei Bonim.
I was asked by Zalman
Please find your seats. The main course will be served.
There was a young woman who unfortunately passed away, leaving 4 young girls. Without the guidance of their mother. We know Chinuch is only half the package. Along with Chinuch is Hadracha. There is a very special couple who took these 4 girls, these young girls who had no mother, under their wing and took an interest in making sure that they didn't only have their spiritual well-being needs, but their physical needs were taken care of. He saw them through their educational life, their schooling. They did, to the point where they led, as far as I understand, the oldest of the 4 girls down to the chuppah, and at this point they are on shlichus. I feel honored to call up this very special person and mentioning this together with his wife, Rabbi Yosef and Mrs. Minkowitz. Rabbi Yosef Minkowitz.
First of all, l'chaim, l'chaim. Chaim. Rabbi Popack, is he still here? Just wanted to mention that his Zayder, Rabbi Popack, was my Malamed in Kita Vov, grade 6, Bedford and Dean. We still remember the memorable moments, that time, and to answer the question that he asked about the correlation between Gimel Tammuz and the Skenus taking place today, it's quite obvious. As the Rebbe said many times, the Gemara says, Mazare b'chaim, Mafu b'chaim. The Rebbe said, even though Chassidim don't need that, steht noch Hecha davon, but for the Welt, Mazare b'chaim, the Mechanchim are educating the Rebbe's kinder. And we see 23 years. Children grew up, didn't see the Rebbe. Didn't come to didn't have Fabrengens, Lekach, Memorim. Grew up with Mesirav and Nesim Mesiras Nefesh, in fire and in Wasser, to do everything what the Rebbe wants. And a much higher madrega, I can say for myself, than we grew up with all of this, with Yechidas, wo halt man heint? He said, Kinder, Schluchim, übergeben im Ganzen zum Rebbe. So this is all thanks to the Mechanchim, that the Mechanech, the Rebbe's Kinder in the right way, the Kashrus, ich bin gegeben ganz Rebbe L'chaim, L'chaim. My good friend, we grew up together, Shlomo Zarchi, he always mentions, he came to America a year before we came in 1953, ended up middle of the year, the Peretz Hertz class. So he was already the big boy, he was already 6 years old, so he used to take me from Brownsville with the city bus, the St. John's bus, and the Bergen Street bus, to Schleppzig to Bedford and Dean. So I spoke to him this Sunday. He told me, he's a Mashpia in 770, and he said he wants to go on Shlichus. So the Rebbe told him, Dein sein in Yeshiva, mit Messire in the Sine, dass wir fordern auf Shlichus in Australien. This is what the Rebbe told him. Messire geben, so im Inje von Chinuch, mit Messire in the Sine, it's exactly like going on Shlichus, because you heard and saw, and also the kibbutz that was given out, a collection, tremendous collection, from all, not all, a sample of the Rebbe's Sichas and Memorim, and letters, Valdik Inyonim, the Kesher, the Inyan of Chinuch. Now, Chinuch, as we know, is called Melechas Hashem, Alter Pasuk Shulchan Aruch, taken from the Gemara. So if in all the years it was called the Melechas Hashem, today we all know that the challenges that we have today and the distraction and this possible even sometimes addiction to what we call today in one word, the so-called modern technology, puts us in competition with the child's mind, the child's interests, and Baruch Hashem, on these mamish difficult circumstances, raising an entire generation should go in the Rebbe's ways, what the Rebbe wants. They deserve a full badge of honor, and there's no words to describe it. The Rebbe himself, like everything else, was able to foresee a matzav that we have today. And the Rebbe spoke about this for many, many years in letters, in siches, fabrengens, very passionately, about what our goal, what our mission statement has to be in Chinuch. And I think it's very important to review a little bit of it, just to refresh it, to mechazik, and maybe some don't even know all the details. We'll give just a sample of some of the inyonim, what the Rebbe spoke about in this area, very much negeya for the inyan of Chinuch. A teacher, as we all know, I always mention this, as far as I know, is the only job that exists that an employee, not a boss, an employee, takes the work home with them. One teacher told me she dreams about the kids. Sometimes it's pleasant dreams, and sometimes, she used the word nightmares. I don't want to repeat it, but that's what she said. So basically, it's always on the mind of the mechanech and mechaneches to think every single moment about the children. As the Gemara says, that constantly thinking about the children. What is really chinuch? First, we have to define the word. Words are very important today. We have to know what chinuch means. What is the actual definition of chinuch? So we can ask a pshuto shel mikra, a mechomesh le mikra. So the inyan of chinuch, Rashi brings it down in Breishis already, and also in Parsha Shoftim. Rashi says chinuch is loshen haschola. It's a beginning. Chinuch is not education. Education is a noun. Education means gaining knowledge. Knowledge. It's not an active thing. Chinuch is loshen haschola. It means to initiate, to begin, to start. And every single day, if we're a mechanech, it means that every single day we approach the job loshen haschola. We're just starting out. We're initiating this child. I spoke to him yesterday, and last year, and 5 years ago. No, we're initiating this child every single day in the way of chinuch loshem mechanech. And the Rashi brings down when it speaks about chanichov, this goes back to Eliezer Eber Avrom. Rashi says the loshen also, but loshen hascholas knisa sa'odo mekeli leumnes shu osid lamid bei. On one hand, it's a beginning, but you have to have in mind osid lamid bei. It's not here today, gone tomorrow, fly by night. I see you today, and whatever I'm atzliach today is batzlocha, whatever not is not. Osid lamid bei. And then Rashi himself brings down the posik. V'chein chanech lanar. The famous posik in Mishlei, chanech lanar al pidarkei. So Rashi brings it down over there by Chanichov. Rashi chanech lanar, which is the most famous posik that has to do with chinuch, is loshen haschola. It's a beginning that we are starting out, initiating a child. As a matter of fact, the French word that Rashi brings down, also, Old French means to initiate. It means to start, to begin. And this is what chinuch is all about, and completely not the union of education. In a way that chinuch is not that we have kichadoshim, kol yem yibenecha kichadoshim, it's chadoshim mamish. Every single day is anaya zach, it's the kind from the Meibischen, the Rebbenskinder, and we mechanech each and every single day in a new way that we mechanech, that we never saw the child before. In Tovshin Gimel, just to understand how the Rebbe looked at chinuch very passionately. In Tovshin Gimel, very short time after the Rebbe came to America, after Chav Chasidim, the Rebbe wrote a letter to Rabbi Greenglass, one of the 9 Bochrim who were saved from the hands of the Nazis, Yamach Shemom, and were immediately given the orders to set up yeshiva. But the Rebbe, who was given the job of taking care of Merkez L'Yonei Chinuch, which is the word of chinuch, which you look back up the Siddur, it'll tell you what Megnan Chinuch is all about. The Rebbe wrote a letter, a few letters, a number of letters, to Rabbi Greenglass, Olav HaSholem. And the Rebbe writes about establishing as Beis Rivka, this is in Tovshin Gimel 1943. And the Rebbe said, Kol Yom She'ever. I'll read it in English, it'll be easier, make it quicker. Every single day that passes is Aveda Sheina Chazes, the loss that can never be returned again. And how many girls could have, meanwhile, pertaining to themselves, could become Shemer Torah mitzvahs, and also having an influence on others, being an example to others, how they conduct their lives in a way that it's appropriate for Beis Rivka. And explains in Chassidus, if through such a chinuch, if one girl would make one bracha, one girl, one bracha, and all this time, the Rebbe says it's a tachlus hayichud berotzno elyon beyichud zel amaylo nitzchel elam vod. It's an everlasting unity with Hashem that is accomplished by one bracha, one girl. Is a ven leikman das up. So what are we delaying this for? What are we waiting for to have this chinuch done? So this the Rebbe spoke already in Tovshin Gimel. The Rebbe, and the letters after that, it took another 13 years till actually the Beis Rivka was established. But the Rebbe was already pushing and pressing, but with that nekudah, this was the fire behind it. One bracha, one girl. Mitzvahs Maisius. We can't imagine how great that is. There's many letters that the Rebbe speaks about this. A lot of it was printed in the booklet. I'll just mention a few maybe that didn't come out over there. That Geidel Adovar Ein L'Shayed, the Rebbe writes about the achrayis and the schus, the tremendous achrayis, tremendous responsibility, the tremendous chus that goes with the union of chinuch. But today we see that chinuch is a lot more than that. Chinuch is an union of pikuach nefesh. Pikuach nefesh, as you can see on the screen, Eksaviat Kodesh from the Rebbe. Chinuch bnei Yisrael ato, hu inyan the pikuach nefesh mamish. Mechanech Yiddische Kinder today, nowadays, is poshet saving lives. Saving lives, the Rebbe explained, beruchnius, begashmius, even. Without a chinuch, we don't know where things go. As the Rebbe writes in a letter, the Erste Yodin, that the Rebbe established Lubavitch darf sich führen, how it should go. The Rebbe again emphasized the words Pikuach Nefoshes Mamish, not only to bring them to Chaye Olam Haba, but also to protect them in Chaye Olam Hazeh. In this physical, Gashmistic world, they should be protected from all the evils that surround us. We need a proper Yiddish Chinuch. Tovshin Yud Ches. The Rebbe wrote a letter, Klolos Anash, in Eretz HaKodesh. And the Rebbe writes that Talmidei Atmimim were called Neides Lahoyer, but the job is to give it over to others. The Rebbe says that Eifen HaIkri v'HaPoshut, the most important and simple way is through Chinuch. That Chinuch must be done by everybody. And the Rebbe used the Lashon, Kriosi u'bakashosi l'chol anash. It's my request, my call, my request to all of Anash, that anybody and everybody who is able, who is fit to do this Aved and Chinuch Bnei Yisrael, they should do everything that they can. Begufa mamish, not just to give money, but Pasha to work in the union of Chinuch as teachers, madrichim, madriches, principals, etc., etc. And the Rebbe emphasizes again, I am asking him, I am begging him, that they should immediately start looking for to work in the area of Chinuch to mechanech Yiddische Kinder. The same year the Rebbe writes also to an individual, Kosafti daite brura kamapom. I've written many times my clear opinion that if all the times Chinuch Altaris HaKodesh was the inyonim achiyunim, the most important things of Am Yisrael, especially in our Tkufa, it's very, very important. So there it's understood. Ashrei chelki shel kol echad v'achas ha'mesasik b'zeh. Happy is the lot of each and every one, men and women, who are occupied them time in that. And especially if a person has received hatzloche, and that's me'eins haschar hachinayla. The Rebbe said the highest schar that's possible of ilom chatira b'chayecha. You actually see Pasha Matzliach in the union of Chinuch. Another letter the Rebbe writes also that every daiti, you do a daiti. It's no my opinion, as I've written to many, many people, that anybody who's able to work in this area of Chinuch, Ashrei Chelkei, and he shouldn't Chashom go away from the Chelik HaYofe, from the good part that was given to him to work in the union of Chinuch. Again, there's many, many letters that the Rebbe writes that I am amazed and wondering about a Tomim that is working in Chinuch for so many years, so he doesn't understand the Inyan completely, what's going on, the fact that he's working in Chinuch. He said there's an Inyan of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the Shliach of Adei is Nesienu. So therefore, all the Mekushorim, even those that are only Shaykh to the Rebbe, so those that the Eibusher gave them the Schus, that they have a Ashpah through the Inyan of Mekarev Yiddische Kinder, through Avim Shebashamayim, through the Inyan of Chinuch, and with Chassidus, the Teres HaChassidus, the Rebbe says, Tmiya achatmiya, that even for you, I have to explain the importance of Chinuch, what Chinuch is all about, after we learn so much about the Inyan of Chinuch. The Rebbe told people many, many letters about this. Then there's a Sikha in the later years. This is Chof of Tovshin Lamed Vov, Print L'Kut Sichas. The Rebbe writes, Hatafkid ha'ikri. That is, on our generation is the Inyan of Chinuch. The main mission, the main job, we have to be must chayovim lasik bechinuch. And the Rebbe said that especially in our generation, we are given extra brochas to be able to be matzliach. Even though the Rebbe, we are only like a nanas is like a midget. Nevertheless, our holy Rabbeim gives each and every single one, even the smaller ones amongst us, he gives us keiches and directions and directives how to matzliach in the Aveda of Chinuch. So this, the Rebbe said, Tovshin Lamed Vov, the Rebbe concludes the Sikha that saying that Mashiach will come, the Meirim Mechanchim, the teachers, men, women, will be able to say, be able to say, this is what we have, Baruch Hashem, raised and brought up. Now, sometimes a person can think, the Rebbe once said, Mi ani u'mo, who am I? Ich kenne nicht, ich weiß nicht. So this, if I bring in, the Rebbe once spoke, the Rebbe said, the Rebbe says in Tanya, brought down from the Gemara in Tmura, Meir eine Shnei Mavaya. When we help out another Yid, we brighten up the way, the light for them, bring light into their lives. It's Meir eine Shnei Mavaya. So the person who's doing it also gets his life lit up. And the Rebbe said you shouldn't have what they used to call a shin mit drei kepelach, a shin with 3 heads, which stands for shiflus shel sheker, a humility, a false humility. And the Rebbe said even if it be false humility, even if we really humility, it's improper. Especially the Rebbe said in other things we don't know. Maybe haltzavaniv and other things. The Rebbe told an interesting story. The Rebbe said that he was told that lately there was a Rav who had to testify in court, in a Goyish court. He had to say this in a way that it's permissible. And then after the testimony was finished, the judge tells this rabbi, he says, you should know that what you said has a very, very important impact on the case, because, and the Rebbe said this in English, yeah, one of the most renowned rabbis in America. The Rebbe said this, I was Fabrengen, B'Shalach Mamalef. One of the most renowned rabbis in America. So the rabbi tells the judge, not one of the most renowned rabbis, the most renowned rabbi. That was Fabrengen. He corrected the judge, not one of the most. No. So the judge was taken aback. And he says he knows humility is a very, very important thing, especially by a rabbi. You'd expect a little bit more humility. So the rabbi answers to the judge. The rabbi said this again in English, Your Honor, what can I do? I am under oath. He has to tell the truth. What's the members? He's a court. He can't lie in a court. If he's the most renowned rabbi, he's the most renowned rabbi. No, the bottom line is, the Rebbe said, this is shiflus shel sheker. Andere Sachen is like this. We all know in Hayom Yom, Chavav Cheshvan, the Rebbe brings down that the derech amiti, that we have to know mahus atzmi, we have to know the essence of a person. We have to know the chasrenas, the faults that we have, the deficiencies, but we also have to know umailas atzmei. We have to know our qualities, and it's not the place to praven anive shalebim kemei. So that's a little bit of glimpse. It's mamish a glimpse, because there's hundreds and hundreds of places where the Rebbe speaks and writes about chinuch. It's unbelievable. But now, what is the mission and what is the goal of a mechanech? A chanech has a very big job, has a very big curriculum. A lot of things have to be covered. What is the main goal of the mechanech? So the Rebbe writes, this is in a letter, in Tafshin Yud Aleph, right after the Rebbe became Rebbe. And the Rebbe writes as follows, that in the previous generations, the objective and the job of a yeshiva and a Talmud Torah was mainly to learn Torah and to be able to grow and to advance in Torah. And kiyum mitzvahs, to actually do mitzvahs and to keep minhag Yisrael, was understood by every Jewish child, boy or girl, from the chinuch that they got in their house, from the hours that they were not in the walls of the yeshiva. The Rebbe writes, Nishtanu ha'itim biyomeinu elu. These are the words. Nishtanu ha'itim. Times have changed. Tafshin Yud Aleph, 1951. Times have changed. And the objective of the yeshiva Talmud Torah is mainly to make sure that the Talmud, first and foremost, is a Yiras Shamayim, a Yid Hashem Torah mitzvahs, then to become a Lamdan, and the yeshivas that are established by the Rabbeim also become a chosid. The ikir is kiyum amitzvahs b'peil kasiyah la'elo, and the main thing is Yiras Shamayim. So therefore, every single yeshiva and everything that's established by the Rebbe, to gather all the things together, that first of all they should be able to meet the most important goal, and that is that the Talmidim should be frume, ehrliche Yidden, und warme Yidden, und chsidish Yidden. That's the goal that has to be met. And the Rebbe said that this has to be established in all the departments. Every single place we have to establish, even the lowest grades, to establish, the Rebbe said, these inyonim that should lead in that direction. And the Rebbe again, Tafshin Zayin, the Rebbe repeats again, that whoever's involved in chinuch, akosher altaris hakodesh, so in our times, the main tafkid is there should be a yid, a shemer, teira, mitzvahs. And even, the Rebbe adds, even in homes, that the house is Shmiras HaTorah mitzvahs is 100% the way it should be. They are also a lot of time they're out on the streets. There's all kinds of winds blowing in the streets. This was, in those years, was out in the streets. Now, Yiras Shamayim, as we all know, it's mentioned already in the Gemara. The Gemara in Shabbos, Laf Amar Aleph, Gemara brings down the Posik, which speaks about the Shisha. Shisha say the Mishnah, and it says, Yiras Hashem Yitzorei, the most important thing is to have Yiras Hashem. Without Yiras Hashem, it's nothing. It says when a person comes to Bedouin Shamaylo, they ask him 6 questions. But even all those questions, you answer okay. If you know Yiras Hashem, the main thing is missing. And the Gemara tells an interesting story. A moshel for a person who tells his messenger, go and bring up for me a kur, a big measure of chitim, of wheat, bring it up to the attic. So he brought it up. So he asked him, did you mix in a kav chumtin? A kav chumtin, Rashi says a chumtin is a preservative that you put a type of earth, a salty earth, when you put that in together with the wheat, it preserves it that it shouldn't rot away. So he said, no, I didn't put in the chumtin. He says, but it would have been better if you wouldn't bring it up altogether. And there's a story told that Reb Chaim Volozhiner was one of the greatest Talmidim of the Vilna Gaon, sent a question to the Alter Rebbe. He asked the Alter Rebbe, this Gemara tells us you have to have Yiras Shamayim. Okay, he agrees. Which obviously you interpret that to mean you have to learn Chassidus, V'chulu. Agreed. But he says the measures that the Gemara gives is a kav chumtin for a kur of chitin. A kav compared to a kur is 180th. A kav is 180th of a kur. So he said, he made a cheshbon. He said in a day there's 1,440 minutes. If you take 180th of it, it's 8 minutes. Good. 8 minutes chassidus meilen. Which in maskim sein. Chaim Volozhin, F. Shachayim, he learned the shit of Tzimtzum like the Alter Rebbe, not like the Vilna Gaon. Good. A maskim. 8 minutes. So the Alter Rebbe answers, look in the Gemara. In the Gemara it says, Iravta bahem kam chumtin. Did you mix in? He says, the mixing takes a long time. The mixing, that it should penetrate, that it should permeate, drop in the kaf chumtin. So garnish, takes a second. Iravta bahem, it says. Iravta. The iravta takes a long time. So it's not just the yin of limud achsidis, the yin of darki achsidis, that has to be done to make sure that it's done properly. So the yin of Yiras Shamayim, this the Rebbe put mamish as the foundation of everything that has to be done in a Mesat Chinuch. And the Rebbe adds, other letters, the Rebbe says clearly that it doesn't make a difference which topic one learns with the Talmidim and how they're learning it. It has to be ingrained in the heart and mind of the Mechanech that the goal is to permeate the Talmidim with this teaching, that's a Lekim Yirah, to fear HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that it should be expressed in his daily life as Mitzvahs of Shmeir. No matter what they're learning. It doesn't have to be the learning Nafke Chassidus. Every subject, or you can't call it a subject, every yin that a person learns should be emphasized. This has to be the Nekuda HaTicheno. And the Rebbe adds, Drishas Hasho. This is the call of the hour. They should be penetrated Yiras Shamayim, and they should understand that the absolute truth about Kiyum Mitzvahs Maisiyas, and every single Talmid can be actually brought up in that way. And again, other letters that Rebbe mentions, no matter what they're learning, this Nekuda comes across a number of times. And the Rebbe uses a Lashon, which is rarely found in the Rebbe's Lashonos, in the Rebbe's Sichas, or the Rebbe's letters. The Rebbe writes that in every single grade, they should have the Inyan of Limud Halacha. The Rebbe adds, Ayasher Cheli. Ayasher Cheli literally means if I would have the power. That's literally translated. Take how you want, but that's what the Rebbe writes. I would instruct that in every single institution of Bnei Yisrael in the entire world, they should have this Nekuda, that they should have an emphasis on the whole union of halacha. Again, the Rebbe mentions about learning Ikra Amunah and Imamin. Poshet, the Ikra is the Kazachen that should Poshet make them into a Yeseda. The Rebbe calls it that somebody wrote him a letter, but you didn't mention about Limud Hayadus, that no Jewish learning can be without this Yesod, without this foundation. This is the foundation of everything that a Yid learns. This is what it is. And the letter, Ashrei Chelke V'Chelkum, that all those people that are involved in Chinuch al Taras HaKedesh, this is Poshet to save the Nefashos Yisrael from the Ruches Abilti Mitzuyas, the unwanted things that go on outside. And this again, this Hatzolah, the saving them is not only for Elam Haba, it's also Elam Hazeh. And it's a very important area to make sure that Hashkafas Elam Hayadus, and to learn the halachas that tzrichas b'chol yom v'yom. There's a lot more we'll soon see than we have in yeshivas, Meister Chinuch, that they have to learn. They learn halachas. Every Meister learns halachas. But the Rebbe, this was the Iker Kol Ikrim. And the Rebbe said this is even more important, Yediyas HaTorah, if you can differentiate between the two, and it's from the lowest grade to the highest grade possible. And this is something that the Rebbe emphasized in Meister Chinuch. The Rebbe wrote a memorandum which is called Some Basic Problems of Education. It was written for a presentation, I think, that took place in Washington, and it mentions that the credentials of the Rebbe is that he's president of Merkez Niyonei Chinuch, in this capacity as president of the Yonei Chinuch education arm of the Chabad Lubavitch movement. But that it was important to know what are the credentials of the Rebbe B'negei Chinuch, because he is the president of Merkez Yonei Chinuch. And this was meant for the public, even non-Jews. And the Rebbe writes, education in general has two primary objectives. Number one, the acquisition of knowledge, including the application of the acquired knowledge. And B, education in a stricter sense, the cultivation of a proper code of ethics and morality, development of a concept as to his purpose and mission in life, which will be reflected in the daily conduct of the boys and girls when they grow up and take their place in society. So the Rebbe says, I want to bring out, it's a whole long thing, I'll just read a few lines, elementary problems in elementary education. The Rebbe says the emphasis of the past, that the Rebbe wrote in those letters, was on molding moral character, behavior rather than imparting knowledge. In our generation, the situation has basically changed. And the children today, they want to go into the need of knowledge. The Rebbe said it became increasingly evident that the school must now largely supplant the home and religious mesas that they have, even by the Goyim. This vital part of child's education, the inculcation of moral values, that has to be brought in. The Rebbe emphasizes the contemporary child hears a great deal about intelligence tests, aptitude tests, IQ and AQ. They become familiar symbols, but what about CQ? Character quotient. Character quotient. Is it not as important to test and measure the child's progress in character building and moral advancement as his progress in amassing facts and figures? The most important thing is ein Mensch. And the Rebbe emphasizes that there's only one factor which can induce children to curb the desires and cultivate decent and moral conduct: the knowledge that the world in which we live is not a cosmic accident, but has a creator, a master who takes a personal interest in all its affairs and every individual in particular. If you pick up right away, you see from the 12 psukim, Bereishis bara Elokim s'shamayim v'sa'aretz, Hine Hashem nitzav alav lechol aretz kveidei mabit olav v'vechin klois v'lev v'mev dekaroi. So the Rebbe is giving you over here something which is important for everybody, universal. The Rebbe mentions in other letters also. The Rebbe also, in the famous letter, the Rebbe writes about when he established Yivas Hashem in Tov Shem Aleph, a person asked him a number of questions about the whole union of Yivas Hashem, And the Rebbe said, I have thought long and hard. I never saw that Lashon anywhere. The Rebbe should say why he made this, he made that. And I came to the conclusion that the only way is to bring in the Inyan of Kabbalah, Seil, Yerushalayim, is only through the Inyan of Tzivos Hashem. Now, this is the letters of the Rebbe. By Fabrengens. This is Fabrengens. The Rebbe said that first of all we have to see that the children are connected to Elokus through Yadus. That's the first and foremost thing that we have to see. And they should have a hakore, a recognition, be'emek hanefesh, in the depth of the nefesh, not just knowledge that they know they can pass on a test. That a yid must have, absolutely must have Yadus. It's impossible without it. If not, he's not a mensch klal. That's what Rebbe said those words. B'chal nish kemensch. And he has to have, to accept upon himself the ikre v'yeseda hayadus v'amunah b'lekim chayim. Pashtin, okay, the child that with them leapt it, that he has to understand that it's not that the Eibishter is someplace outside the boundaries of America, for Yenazite Greenwich. From time to time, you get in touch with him by a wire, with a telephone. The Rebbe said that nowadays, this is Tafshin Tezvav, nowadays we can get in touch without a wire, just through the air itself. And after a talk of a half an hour between him and the Eibishter, he's finished. Because the Eibishter is in the Raki Hashvi, he's in the United States of America. What does he have? And the Rebbe said that if you don't have this foundation, if we add on more floors on top of it, meaning the Gemara and everything else, not only won't it accomplish, the Rebbe said it can be machrib es kol habinyan. You have to hear the Sikha, it's available. You can see the Sikha, Yeshvat Tavshin Tezvav. And the Rebbe says that people are involved in Yonim, Reki Hashvi, a pilpul in Divrei HaRambam. His job is to answer the Rambam. But his job has to be that the child that he received in his hand doesn't know the Tzuras Aleph of Ikri Yeseidas Ayadus. He should make him a Tzayid, machen from him Ayid. That's the most important thing. And the Rebbe said that the child argues, and he tells the Malamed, the Rosh Yeshiva, I have a few hours left that I'm sitting and learning. You can make my neshama should be connected by Hashem Elokim. Hours of the day, many hours, 23 hours of the day, I am drawn to things on the other side. Inyonim that the metamtem is hameir v'halev. It's mamish like you hear the Rebbe talking today, what's going on today. That the Torah doesn't penetrate. Because in the middle is many, many other things that don't allow him to get connected with the Torah. You can hear the Rebbe's words of this Sikha, just hear a few of the words that the Rebbe said, what I just mentioned now. Hear the Rebbe Fabrengen, B'Yutshvat, Tavshin Tezvav.
Das Kind ist kommen mit dem Teilen und sagen, wir geblieben im ganzen Forscher jeder Tag und die Forscher, die sie mir gekonnt machen, als meine Stimme soll sein verbunden bei Hashem, Elokim, weil der Elokim, was demut, was gewinnt, Chaim, Kulchem Hayim. Was du ist genießt die Zeit auf eine Sachen, was Lechabi des Hameach, was du hast in dem Atam. Aber weiß nicht, was davon zukommen. Warum das geht davon weg, ist vernommen 23 Jahre mit West. In Millionen, was schleppt man in der zweiten Seite und in Millionen, was sie seien mit Tamtenes Hameach und mit Tamtenes Halech, der Lele Konservatäre werden nicht zukommen, bis nicht in der reingelegt. Kamer Millionen haben Afsikin, was losen nicht zu, die verbunden mit dem von Emitel.
The Sikha Rebbe continues also, the Rebbe said that the Tafkid, not only the Malamdim that teach in kindergarten, but there it's a davar apashu that you need all these things. Not only the Malamdim that teach Adorim and Talmud Torahs, not only also the ones that teach in Yeshivas standards, but also the Ramim, the Yeshivas Gdelis, and even the highest grades, this applies. We also hear this from the Rebbe because I think it's very powerful how it applies to all across the board in the entire level, all levels of Chinuch.
Und hat das ist der Taktik, nicht nur von die, was lernen in der Kindergarten, was dort sich ein Dollar erfordert. Und gewähnt Kohlhaus, Becholam Chemische, Becholas Mann. Nicht nur die, was lernen in Chidorim und Talmetedes, nicht nur die, was lernen in Yeshivas Ktanis, viele die, was lernen in die Rahmen von Yeshivas Gdelis. Und hat ja viele von den Kippis Ayeser gewähnt über sie.
And the Rebbe asks, therefore, in every Mesed, disregarding what the program of the Limudim is, you have to be mashgiach to make sure that the children know Yeseides Hayadus. That's the most important thing. And the Rebbe again adds the same lotion, which is very rare in this sikha. I yasher cheli, in every place with Dvarim Agiyim, I would ask to be mesaken these two things. And number one is inyan of halacha, and halacha lepil mamish, and inyan of yadus. We can hear this also from the Rebbe, one line.
Und der Vater ist wie ein Yasser Chile, bechol Mokim, Dvora im Agiyim, wo es ihr gebeten hat, die beide Sachen.
And the Rebbe adds, what's the te'elis? What's the benefit? That we have ge'enim, mechache chedushim, that here lamata, chaya yem yem, there won't be a simple yid, a yelad v'yaldo, that will appreciate the erech havatera mitzvahs. Who know the people, but does he appreciate the inyan of erech havatera mitzvahs that applies to him? They should be chfeitzim l'shmei chidush. Should be eager and wanting to hear a chidush of Torah. So that again, the limit of Yadus, not Yon Mepshotim, Pashat explained them all the inyonim, the way all this has to be done, and then we'll be able to be zeicha to have hatzlocha in the learning and have a Deri Yishar Miyaveirach, and we'll be able to, Mashiach comes, we'll be able to say Ru'u Gidulim Shigidalti. There's still some more coming because there's a lot of inyonim here. I'll try to keep it bekitzer. I know the hour is late, but it's mamish inyonim yeseidim beikrim. This was Tavshin Tezvav. 20 years later, Tavshin Lamed Dalet. I'll just mention bekitzer because a lot of inyonim. The Rebbe said that again, it used to be that you rely on the house, but now it became a bilbul in Welt. So the ikir is we have to teach them what the ikir is, and Melamed can't say that I did not learn this way. They said, you were before the Mabul. Now it's after the Mabul. It's a different Seder altogether. It's Nishtanu Ha'itim. So the Iker Inyan, they have to be Mechanchim. Mechanchim, not just to teach a subject, but to be Mechanchim. And the Rebbe added, L'tzareinu ha'godel, das nicht nistaken geworden ki deboy. To our great pain, it wasn't corrected the way it should be. Purim Tov Shel Lamed Hey, the Rebbe spoke about this again, but Nishtanu Ha'itim, and it's a demand to the yeshivas. And here the Rebbe adds a gvaldik and very powerful word. The Rebbe says, today, a Rosh Yeshiva, a Rosh Mesifte, a Madrich, a Madricha, was only sign, whatever it may be. If you have anything to do with Chinuch, he has to be Reifei Nishomes Amei Yisrael. We are sitting here at a doctor's conference. A doctor who fixes a broken leg. Oh, we have COVID, the Recheres, a doctor, he can't learn a brain surgeon. Oof, God, this is not a brain surgeon. A Reifei Nishomes, the Rebbe's words, Reifei Nishomes Amei Yisrael, that heals the Nishomes of Amei Yisrael. This is the highest madrega, and the Rebbe is telling us exactly how it should be done. The Belzer Rebbe came to the Rebbe in Yechidus, Zayin Od Sheni Tavshim Amalef. It was a long Yechidus. I'll just mention Bekitzer. One of the things that Rebbe told him, I had a story with a girl who came to see me, and she asked that it says in science that the world is 2 billion, 5 billion, 7 billion years old. So the Rebbe said, so I asked her, he tells us to the Belzer Rebbe, so I asked her, no, did you ask this to your teacher? She says, yeah, my teacher told me that if you teach a girl Torah, malam da tiflis, like you're teaching a Narishkeit. She didn't answer me. So the Rebbe said, what's going to happen? This girl's going to get married, she'll have a child, the child's going to learn Bereshis, and she'll ask him, how old is the world? He'll say, listen, the real age is 5 billion years old. What you're learning now is Divrei Agod. And the Rebbe said, we have answers for all of this. And why isn't it done? And it's a long conversation. And the Belzer Rebbe asked the Rebbe then, unsere Kinder lernen an solche Schules. Our children learn in such schools? What's going on over here? So the Rebbe said, I hope you won't be disappointed on me when I tell you I don't understand what you call unsere Kinder. Unsere Kinder is every single Yid. And then the Rebbe told him, the Rebbe said clearly, mir sagt unsere Talmidim, sein eire Talmidim, and the Rebbe says, sei seine in eire Beisefer. They learn in your schools. In other words, this is a thing that it comes up by each and every single one, that it comes up. The Rebbe said, we can't rely just on the learning of Torah, the Amor Shabbat Machzir L'Mutav. The Rebbe said it's going to take a long time till it accomplishes. But we have to work in a way that pushes directly to impact. And the Rebbe writes also, that's very important, the Aveda of that slocha of learning, of teaching, has to be a dugma chaya. It's also in the booklet also printed a very interesting psicha from the Rebbe, but in of being a dugma chaya, dafke that can have a proper impact. It's Kislev, Tov Shalom Edvav, the Rebbe said dugma chaya doesn't mean just a living example. That everything what he does, with the ganze chayas, with the ganze studim, that means a dugma chaya. So by you have to be a dugma chaya. So there's an interesting Gemara. We'll learn one line of Gemara, Shtikol Teisves. There's a Gemara in Bava Basra, Daf Aleph, which speaks about the whole Seder, how education was established by Yidden going back in the Bayis Sheni. So first it was only if someone had a father, was able to teach them Torah. Someone didn't have a father, wasn't able to learn Torah. So they established that they're going to have a central yeshiva in Yerushalayim. It says, Kimitzi and Teitza Torah. Pasha, you learn, Tzin Teitza Torah, it's a holy place. Comes Teisvis, just the first part of Teisvis is in Geir, just the last lines of the Gemara. Teisvis says, what's the importance, what's the great advantage of being in Yerushalayim? He saw a Kedusha Gdeila, the Keinim Eiskim Ba'Aveda, he saw the Keinim doing the Aveda, that brought him to Yerushalayim learning Torah. So what do we see from here? First of all, that the most important thing is Yerushalayim, and that will bring to learn Torah properly. It doesn't say Torah of Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim will learn Torah. And how is it done? How is it done? You can put back the Gemara for a second. How is it done? It says Hayareya Kedusha. He was able to see the Kedusha happening, to see a Kayin. He was able to see the Kayin in Bavidosam. So we see that how important it is. What happened? Just analyze. We took little children. At the time there was no communication. Took children away from the homes. Brought them to a city, a fremde Stadt. Yerushalayim Merakib, a fremde Stadt. He had no relatives, nobody there. The whole thing was to teach them Yerushalayim, the most important thing. And we can't think, maybe there's no Malamdim. All the Malamdim, the Rosh Yeshivas, the Mashpim, all the Grace mentions, they lived in Yerushalayim. The Alter Rebbe says, in the Geras HaKedesh Kler Simon Chavov, the Alter Rebbe says that Talmidei Chachomim, that all the Zugis, Bayis Sheni, V'hemidu Talmidim La'alofim V'revovis. Alter Rebbe says this. In Bayis Sheni, they had Talmidim, thousands and tens of thousands. Every shtetl could have Rosh Yeshivas and Mashpim and Mechamchim. So it got nicht gefällt. Nevertheless, they were brought there for that purpose. But the shaila is, which I never saw anybody asking the shaila, it says, who in the world, how could a kid see what's going on in the Beis HaMikdash? There was guided tours in the Beis HaMikdash. So where did he see David in the Beis HaMikdash? Where did he see such a thing? This is the whole kavod, they should see the Kain Bavidosam. How did this happen? So you can understand it maybe. Kehanim, a Kehan, the Gemara says that Kehanim is shluchah derachmoninu. Even the Gemara says in the Dorim that it's a Abaye, but later on Teisus explains this question was only if it's also shluchah dedan. But for sure, shluchah derachmoninu, the shluchim of Davis, I'm a pastor that also. So we see there were Kehanim Bavidos, there were shluchim that were doing the Aved. But if you give a look in the Chazal, it always says the Lashon Kehanim Bavidos. Even in davening we say, we say Kehanim Bavidos, Musaf Koshev Kehanim Bavidosam. Here, Teisus adds another word, Kehanim Eiskim Bavidosam. So the famous sikhs of the Rebbe many times in the Friedrich Rebbe Mamorim, Eisik B'Teira. Eisik B'Teira means like a Baal Eisik, a businessman. A businessman doesn't wait that someone's going to knock on their doors. Do you have anything to sell? He advertises and runs around and tries to explain people how important his product is better than everybody else's product. He'll elect with them day and night. Leptamit betera. Kenim eiskim bavidosom. The fact that there's just a Kayin and the Kayin even does the Aveda, tuta the Aveda, but he has a job. He has a job. He's doing his job. Eiskim bavidosom means that it's felt around the clock, 7 days a week, 24/7. It's always felt. The Aveda is felt regularly that he's doing the Aveda every single second. So now, when this child comes in Yerushalayim, he sees the Kayin walking a gate. Kayin is rizim hein. Da geht mit a kelbel, schlepping a calf to the Beis Hamikdash. There he's learning. I get the mikveh, leif darum. And to the Aveda, outside, 24/7, he sees it. And a Talmud like this, Zaminig Amolek Yodin, I don't know when it started, it's Essen Teg, to eat. They have to eat someplace. They used to eat in people's houses. The demographics of Yerushalayim Bepashtus was the majority of people, the many people, were Kehanim. So many Kehanim there. So this child Bepashtus ended up in the Kayan's house. So he comes to eating. He sees the Kayan est. What is he eating? He's eating a korban. Eat a korban daf machen a broche der Ramapaz. And he himself is also allowed to eat certain the shlomim or certain kabbanas that he's allowed to eat. And he sees the Messina and the Sinner. How this Kayan is babidose. The Rambam taking calls the broche and the eating, the karbonis. The Rambam calls it. This is an aveda. So you saw the aveda happening outside this. That's called eiskim avidosim. And then if you wait until the end of the meal, it happens by many of us that noch an Essen, Freitag bei Nacht, nehmt a Sefer, lekut a Siches, and I'm all bet na schlafen. I don't know if it happens. Sometimes it happens, such a thing. No? So to gesehen, wie schläft eichet. Schläft lernt Meisa Karbonis, lernt the Halochas, and this ties in with the famous Hayom Yom, with the Hayom Yom, what the Rebbe brings down, but the Negei of Nin of es geht a Chosid, es schläft a Chosid, es esst a Chosid. So this is the same Nakuda here, because over there it mentions that I'm mekusher in alts. Once we're connected, a shliach is connected, a shliach dach ein zach mit dem shaleach. Wir sind Schluchim von Rebbe. Am betut is mekusher, is demolt, is alt mekusher, is geht a chosid, est a chosid, and schloft a chosid. You have all these things. So these are the inyonim that we have in the Geyat to be mekusher with the Rebbe. I just want to show a short clip. Almost finished here. A short clip of a video that. Just 1 second. Before I'll just mention what the video is about. This was in Tafshin and Aleph. We came with the Besivka girls. At that year, the Rebbe asked to make the first Sefer HaShluchim to have pictures of the Shluchim, the Chulu. So I put together a booklet, an album of all the class pictures of all the girls with all the names. All the names were in it. Bas this, Bas that. Even the girls that weren't in the picture already appeared. And I gave it to the Rebbe. When I brought it to the Rebbe, so the Rebbe said, I thought the Rebbe would give it, finish, put it aside. The Rebbe asked me very strange words. The Rebbe said, Dosif Amir, to das Daftir if machen Geld. Could you imagine? Is this being given to me? Do you need this to make money? And after Mishalochim come around your house, they have to show what they're collecting for. So this is, even if you have to collect, there's no extra copy for the Rebbe. The Rebbe asked us, Kasha, this is von mir, machen Geld. So I said, nee, sie nicht auf Geld, sie von Rebbe. I was like astounded. So the Rebbe asked again, auf Geld machen? Didn't accept the answer. Auf Geld machen? I said again, sie von Rebbe. So I said, sie nicht auf machen Geld. It's not to make money. Nicht auf machen Geld. So I told him, no, nicht auf machen Geld. I told the Rebbe, nicht auf machen Geld. The Rebbe said, no, gar nicht. Eba zei, but it's bleiben bei mir. It'll stay by me. It'll stay. I started walking away. They gave me another $1. And then the Rebbe had a few words. Wird zei machen Geld durch dem, was wird sein bei mir. Amazing words. That the album, am is beim Rebbe, durch dem, was wird sein bei mir. Und Geld, we know, Geld is al shleishat varim ha'elam eimer, especially people on shliches, mechanchim, menalim, ala kesef, bala kesef. The Alter Rebbe said, the Eibrische geht Eden Gashmis to machen dem Ruchnius, is Geld means all the brachas. Durch dem, was ist bei mir. Just you can play it for a moment, be able to see this shtickle video.
Campus Chinuch van Montreal. Dus kun je het gemiddeld 80 miljoen. Dus die doos hier niet meer regelt met alle.
Die doos is van Mieten, dat ze afmaken geld.
Nee, het is op geld. Het is van Rebbe.
Geld maken.
Het is van Rebbe.
Het is niet afmaken geld.
Het is afmaken geld.
Je komt het, want het is blijven bij mij. Dan stuur je het heen. Als je al die maken geld doet, dan is het blijven bij mij.
The Kabbana is here to be Mekusha with the Rebbe. There's a letter the Rebbe wrote to Avshin Yer Aleph to a Shliach who wanted to attend college a little bit, and the Rebbe said, "Mishlep them Rebbe meet." So the Rebbe said, so maybe the Chossid will argue, for a moment, I'll move away from the Rebbe. So the Rebbe said it's impossible. Whoever's a Chossid Pam Echad is Mekusha to the Rebbe, is Kamayim upon will upon him, the Rebbe is with him, and he holds onto him with iron chains, and you can't let go of it. And the Rebbe emphasized the yin of Shlichus, as we know, is that Yodei ki Yodei, that when we do something, it's like the Rebbe himself is doing it. And the Rebbe gist und gist. At the end of the Maimet, Yitzvat Tov Shulamed, the Rebbe said, me gist und me gist und me gist. The Rebbe is giving brachas nach Anand and is continuing to give brachas nach Anand. We were zeicher to have a letter from the Rebbe. What the Rebbe wrote to Beis Rivka, Montreal, and just to see it on the screen, the Rebbe writes, this is a letter written in Tavshim Mem Hey, and in the middle, you'll see the paragraph, you see the start, that starts with the word Eich, can sagen mit Stolz und sagen uns den Bala Elula, Rugi Dulem Shegidalta, Zedi Gute Preides und Peides, with seine Pflanzungen Aruz gegeben. So I want to conclude, wishing everybody in this room, and all the Mechanchim throughout the world, to read exactly what the Rebbe writes in this letter. Every mechanech, read over there, kenne mit Stolz, with pride, to say to the Baal HaYelula, it's mamish very, very appropriate. Gimel Tammuz, Ru'u Gidulim Shegidalta. If you see the words, it's different than we read in the Sikha. The Rebbe says of the Ru'u Gidulim Shegidal Nu. Here we're saying to the Rebbe, Ru'u Gidulim Shegidalta. You raise these children. We were zeicher that we should be the Yod HaRichte, the Gazim B'Yad HaChetzev, that we're able to help, we're able to help out and bring about uitwachsende Kinder, geschoren zu Rebbe, Ugedulm Shegidalto, that deine Peres und Peres, Baruz gegeben, we should see the Rebbe, Rekorif Mame, should be able to say to him, Rebbe, Ugedulm Shegidalto.
Shkoyach, Rabbi Minkowitz. The Chinuch Convention will continue tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock in Beis Levi Yitzchak and Machonchana for the Women's Convention. The Men's Convention will continue in Alter Troy at 10:30. We look forward to seeing you all. We'll now bench, Daven Maidiv, and continue with the Farbrengen with Mendel Shapiro. Thank you. Whoever didn't wash should make a bracha achrona.